Springfield's Talk 1041. Hey, welcome. It's Monday, everyone. It's good to have you here. Streaming live, KSGF.com. We are on YouTube. You can watch us there. It's Springfield's Talk 1041. Any of the show, of course, that you missed, we've got the podcast section. We've got that at KSGF.com. We've got it the app. We've got it Spotify and iTunes. So it's just about anywhere and everywhere one could imagine. A lot of course, discussion over the weekend, and there seems to be a pause in latest developments regarding James Comey and his little creative seashell find, which he apparently, as former director of the FBI, had no clue whatsoever what 86ing someone meant, which instills a lot of confidence in retroactively his tenure there as director of the FBI. Either that or he's a liar. Yeah. I think most of us suspect which of the two columns this falls within. He was escorted by, according to reports, Secret Service for what is said to be around a 90-minute interview with him. And that, best I've been able to tell, is pretty much the last information that has been out there. But we'll talk a little bit about that also coming up. There's this diagnosis of former President Joe Biden going from what we're told is completely healthy to breakneck speed, very advanced form of cancer. And as you can imagine, a lot of people are, and these aren't right-wing nutcases, but a lot of people are very suspicious about how he could go from no prostate cancer to it being so far advanced that it has gotten into his bones, and how generally that takes 5, 6, 7 years to advance along to that point. And, this is part of course, what occurs when you spend years lying to the American people about the health of a president. Whenever something pops up regarding the health of the president, and, you can understand why people are a little suspicious about this. There are some people that are speculating that the reason this is being revealed now is in order to distract from some of the new revelations, the Robert Hur tapes. These are the tapes in which that special investigator was recording Biden during conversations with him about the classified documents that in the tapes you hear him talk about having and giving to this author, that is not supposed. I mean, Biden is not supposed to have these classified documents. It's a whole nother offshoot there, of course, but that and the revelations from Jake Tapper's book. Many people are speculating this is to try and give Democrats cover. That this hasn't been so, while it is about Joe Biden, it's been about the Democrat Party, and Democrats constantly being asked, did you know? Did you know? Did you know? And these laughable responses that a lot of these Democrats are giving, and that perhaps this is a way to get off that conversation. That now Democrats can say, hey, this isn't the time to talk about such stuff. He has this recent diagnosis, which is horrible. And I think what Americans should do, instead of questioning the past, we should just pray and move forward. Some are going to see that as a stretch. But can you really see that as a stretch? Given, again, what these people, the lies that they have told, the just brazen gaslighting that the left has committed in order to, get people to stop questioning them as a way to protect themselves. So you can't really dismiss out of hand that there are more nefarious reasons for the announcement of this cancer diagnosis at this time. You just leave, when you create a clear demonstration that you cannot be trusted with these things, that leaves the American people to try to figure out, okay, what's really going on here? And that's not on the American people. That's on the people who are the liars that have created that atmosphere of distrust. There's former interviews popping up, one in which his brother, Frank Biden, a couple of years ago with CBS, suggested at that point that Joe Biden was terminal with something, talking about spending the final days with him. That immediately was met by an anonymous Biden family member claiming that he's an alcoholic, you can't listen to him. That story went away very quickly, but some of this stuff kind of starts popping back up, and it adds to the questions that so many people have about whether or not this is something that has been hidden. Was it hidden from Joe Biden? He may not have known this stuff. We've got traffic coming up here in just a moment. Right now, let's go ahead and get the latest weather, shall we?
Sure. The first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today, we'll see a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, and then partly sunny skies with a high near 80. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms will continue, mainly before 3 a.m. Some of those storms could produce heavy rainfall. We'll see a low around 61. For your Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 73, and looking ahead to Wednesday, sunny skies with a high near 72.
Pinnaker Honda, excuse me, we got Memorial Day coming up, so you got all sorts of incredible Memorial Day deals. And by the way, they have college grad offers, military offers as well. Pinnaker Honda Military Appreciation offer $500 towards the purchase of a new Honda. That applies to active duty, U.S. military and ready reserve, and their spouses. Eligible U.S. military veterans within 2 years of their separation from active service, and their spouses, and eligible U.S. military retirees, spouses of U.S. military retirees, and Gold Star family members. So a lot of coverage there. As you probably have heard as well, I've been talking about it, and in the other ads they're running, they have free gas all summer with the purchase of a new vehicle at Pinnaker. And review this from Nancy. Brad Bacon, always helpful. Service department workers, very quick to address my problem. Get me back on the road in a timely manner. Would recommend their service to anybody. Brad has helped me with all the Hondas we have owned. I appreciate his personal attention. Thanks, Brad. And they have that whole new service area there that is really nice and accommodating as well. It's a great place if you need to do a little bit of work. You got the plugins, you got all that sort of stuff, so that you can easily do work while you're there, or just keep yourself entertained if you need be, as well. This announcement of Joe Biden's prostate cancer and the extremely advanced nature of it is something that many people are questioning for a number of reasons. One, the announcement that we've gone from being told that former President Joe Biden, healthy as can be, no health problems, and then that goes from a form of cancer that generally takes years in order to get to the point that it's at. And according to a number of, people in the medical industry, and, a lot of people when it comes to prostate cancer are pretty familiar with the patterns in which this follows, that, they're saying 5 to 7 years. The rate at which the prostate cancer metastasizes to your bones is a 5 to 7 year journey on average without treatment. And the fact that they are saying this is where he is at this point is leaving a lot of people wondering exactly what is going on. When did they know about this? How could they only just now know about this? And when we talk about who did or did not know about it, was Biden getting health checkups? Was he not all this time? There's this doctor that would issue this doctor that would do the evaluations and put out the letter saying, oh, no, he's perfectly fine and healthy. Was he really examining him? Somebody that is, this is what's strange about it, somebody who is Joe Biden's age in particular, that the test, the very initial test for any sort of prostate issues are pretty simple and they're pretty routine, particularly for his age. So this idea that all of this time he's never had one of those tests done, these are the things that legitimately, I think that they are yes or no questions that can be answered. Was he tested? How is it that this metastasized state of cancer that generally takes 5 to 7 years untreated, that just suggests, outside of any sort of anomaly, that for 5 to 7 years he has not gotten any of these tests? It's not an invasive test. It's relatively easy to detect. And if he was tested, how was this missed? Is that something that can occur? And if so, was he tested annually? Was he tested every 6 months? You would think, being the president of the United States, and you constantly, again, in his particular, just aside from the cognitive stuff, you forget about that, excuse me, just his age alone. And having full medical staff that there would be tests done with a great deal of frequency. Now, if they were done, is this something that the Bidens knew about? Is this another lie? Is it another cover-up? Is this something else that they figured, well, if the American people know that he has prostate cancer that is this advanced and it's gotten into his bones, then they will be less likely to elect him president of the United States, fearing that he wouldn't make it through another term. And, was this part of that pattern of behavior that we know existed? They can't claim, well, we would never do that. Well, because we know that you do that sort of thing, and you have done that sort of thing. An even darker scenario, which I fully believe is plausible, that they did know, but they didn't tell him. that they just decided not to inform him. And so that means that he wasn't getting treatment. What was he getting some form of treatment, but he was told it was for something else? Or was the decision made that due to his cognitive decline, his quality of life, by time the cancer will end his life, his quality of life will already be so diminished at that point anyhow, that, and this is how they could have rationalized it, that we should just let it play out, let it take him naturally, because stopping it at this point doesn't really make sense given the fact that he has dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever the specific diagnosis is with his cognitive decline, that quality of life, it just will not be. And we know that the left views human life that way. It is the party of, abortion, of euthanasia. And so it would not be beyond them to make that decision that for him, just let him die. I mean, remember back when Barack Obama was selling Obamacare, and during a town hall meeting, a woman asked the question about, I think she was talking about her grandmother or mother and being of a certain age and needing a transplant, concerns that with government-run health care by way of Obamacare, that people like her would, instead, government would decide, well, your quality of life does not meet our standards, so we'll let you die. And that's when Obama openly talked about, hey, sometimes we may have to make those decisions where you just take a little pill to make your final days comfortable because it really isn't worth it to try to save a person's life at some point. That's the cultural mindset of the left. And so when you incorporate that into trying to figure out what the possible scenarios are here with Joe Biden and how far advanced things are, it's not beyond the realm at all of possibilities that the decision was made to just let him die. This, again, is the conversation that gets created when you have people that lie to you constantly, specifically when it comes to one person's health. You can't trust anything they say. This is, down memory lane here, an article from February of 2024. So this is well over a year ago. Biden says he's making unannounced visit to Walter Reed for physical exam. President Biden revealed Wednesday he's making an unannounced trip to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center for a physical exam. Biden underwent yearly physical examination since the beginning of his term, in line with every other commander-in-chief since Richard Nixon. Walter Reed, the hospital used by all presidents for routine medical care and examinations, located in Maryland. Earlier this month, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre stated that Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, does not believe a cognitive test is necessary. She said O'Connor believes Biden proves his cognitive ability, quote, every day in how he operates and how he thinks. And by the way, should there not be more scrutiny on this doctor? I mean, this doctor was, I can understand if you are a doctor, and this is sort of a weird doctor-patient relationship situation, because generally speaking, that is supposed to be private. But the whole point of these doctor examinations for presidents is for all of us to know what is going on medically with this individual. That's the whole point. That's why they release a letter saying, hey, this person's doing great. Got a little problem over here, got a little problem over there, but that's pretty standard for somebody his age. That's just a very unusual relationship. So if you are a doctor and the point is then to provide the information to the American people, but if the patient doesn't want you to, what do? Now, I would imagine you would say nothing. Or you would be very vague in a way that allowed you to not reveal the truth about what's going on, while at the same time giving you enough wiggle room to be like, well, I didn't lie. But some of the things that this doctor was saying, Oh, no. I mean, he's fit as a fiddle. His mind is just as good as ever. We can all see how great he is. And of course, we all knew, or many of us knew that wasn't the case. But what we've learned from some of these revelations is that, of course, everyone knew about it. Everyone was trying to cover for it. I mean, this doctor, I don't know if there's any sort of legal responsibility that's there, but that that's different than some political figure, some staffer, some spokesperson that's out there lying to the American people. This is a doctor. Karine Jean-Pierre said at the time, "I'm just going to say what Dr. O'Connor said to me about a year ago when Biden's physical was released. The president proves every day how he operates and how he thinks by dealing with world leaders, by making difficult decisions on behalf of the American people, whether it's domestic or national security." Biden received his latest physical February 16th of last year, when his physical gave him a clean bill of health and a letter that said Biden is, quote, fit to successfully execute the duties of the president. The Wednesday physical will likely be the final update on Biden's health before the November presidential election. So this particular story popped up because of what was said to be an unplanned, unannounced physical exam at Walter Reed. And at the time, of course, a lot of people questioned this. Like, why is it unplanned? I mean, the president has these annual physicals. So what is it about? And was this related to what we are now being told is this advanced form of prostate cancer? And I go back to saying it's not. I think it's plausible that even Joe Biden didn't know, and that others did. And I don't know if we ever will know. But increasingly, as much as one may not care for Joe Biden for a number of reasons, this guy has just been used and absolutely abused. And you see the level of cruelty of the people who are supposed to care most about him. You see a level of cruelty within the Democrat Party. And for people that would portray themselves as caring so much about his health and his well-being, they seem to have anything other than compassion in their heart for him as a human being. It is a pretty vile display of what some, I suppose, would categorize as humanity. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. We'll get some of your text messages on the Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line coming up regarding the breakneck speed, apparently, at which Biden's prostate cancer advanced from his annual clean bill of health all the way to metastasizing into his bones, which generally takes 5, 6, 7 years to do, which of course brings up a lot of unanswered questions about how did this happen? How was he getting a clean bill of health all this time? Or does he just have some, I don't know. I haven't heard anyone yet say that it is possible to go from no prostate cancer to, in less than a year's time, get all the way to this stage to, instead of 7 years taking 7 months. There could be cases in which that does occur, but that isn't something that is being explained or talked about at this time, which, again, this is the world that gets created when you're talking about people that lie consistently and brazenly and gaslight regarding a person's health. So your messages coming up, and we got a traffic update now. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, and then partly sunny skies with a high near 80. Tonight those showers and thunderstorms will continue mainly before 3 a.m. Some of those storms could produce heavy rainfall. We'll see a low around 61. For your Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 73, and looking ahead to Wednesday, sunny skies with a high near 72.
This apparently unprecedentedly fast advancement of prostate cancer. Joe Biden going from none, his last physical, to it has advanced within such a short period of time, what normally takes 7 years or so, and that is metastasizing into his bones. It's very advanced, horrible. Is leaving, obviously, a lot of questions unanswered. How has this happened? What was he not tested? What is going on here? And these people lie to us all the time about this stuff, so it's natural that these questions come up. Now, I mentioned that it was in February of last year, he made an unscheduled visit to Walter Reed for what they said was just a checkup, which generally that doesn't happen unless there's something that prompts it. But we were never really given any information. Was that related to it? Back in 2021, headlines reading, Biden fit for duty, polyp removed, says White House physician. Now, it could have been just a polyp colon situation. We don't know. We're not. There's just really no way to know if these people are telling the truth or not. Some of your text messages, if you recall, about 2 years or so ago, Biden was given his little talk about how he used to get wheat oil on his windshield and had to use the wipers to get it off. That's why he has cancer and many others do from Scranton because of that. I think he knew about it a couple of years ago, but like so many other things, it was hidden from the public. And I remember us talking about that. You remember we talked about the windshield, why? And we're like, wait a minute, he just said he has cancer?
Mm-hmm.
And it, as most things with the media, they just totally ignored it. This is a story from a couple of years ago. Biden family source smears Frank Biden as an alcoholic after Frank suggests that Joe Biden is terminal. And this was after apparently Joe Biden had dropped out of the race, been forced out. And Frank Biden told CBS News that Biden's declining health played a considerable role in his decision to drop out. Also saying, quote, we know Obama was behind the coup. He said there was a funeral-like feeling to Frank Biden's statement to CBS News. He suggested Joe Biden was terminal, telling CBS News that he wants Biden back to, quote, enjoy whatever time we have left. Now, that does sound pretty, bleak. Just in his final days, whatever time that he has left, we want to spend with him. Biden would go on to tell CBS News, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. Then a source, quote, close to the Biden family, told CBS News, quote, Frank Biden suffers from alcoholism and hasn't spoken to his brother in weeks. What he said is completely untrue. So at the time, apparently, his statement to CBS was enough of a statement, I don't know, in the minds of CBS, a red flag, but it was something they felt they had to at least contact family members regarding, saying, hey, Frank is kind of talking like Joe Biden's terminal here in some capacity, talking about spending his final days with his family now that he's out of this presidential race. And their response, in true Biden fashion, was just to throw Biden under the bus and, oh, he's a drunk, you can't listen to him. My PSA numbers, this is another text, a little off at last blood work, have to get retested. Prostate problems are easily detected by routine blood work. And that's the thing. And I think that when blood work is done at a certain age, it's just a given that they test for this, which, again, why was it that it hasn't been detected until now? Or was it, and it was hidden from us, and maybe even Joe Biden? Biden was at least a liar, but whoever was in his circle up to and including Jill Biden shows their agenda and power were the only things the Democrats were concerned about. And another asking what agency would start an elder abuse investigation on a president. And then a listing of other individuals, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of course. Now, that was her decision to cling on as long as she possibly could. But Dianne Feinstein, you may recall, they were wheeling her in and out. She almost seemed comatose in and out of some of these Senate hearings, and it was very clear she was lost and incoherent. It's just the lack of human. And I'm going to broad brush the Democrat Party here because increasingly these are the people that demonstrate through their behavior that there's just a lack of any sort of humanity whatsoever. No humanity. Now, that being said, the Trump issued a statement noting Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. The Trump actually getting a little bit of praise from left-wingers because of the graciousness and kindness of his statements regarding this cancer diagnosis, and I'll play for you here. First, you'll hear on CNN Paul Begala, left-wing Democrat, and that will be followed by Van Jones, who is also a left-wing Democrat, mentioning Trump's statement on Joe Biden.
I will note, as an ardent Democrat, it's really important that I speak up and thank President Trump for his gracious statement. His son, Donald Jr., issued gracious statements. This is important. I'm not somebody who's generally a big Trump fan, but I do admire that President Trump today and his son put out public statements of support and encouragement for President Biden and his family. That's really important.
And then
I was very pleased to see President Trump putting forward such a kind statement, but across the political spectrum, it's just, a great deal of empathy for a guy that everybody knows that if you had gotten that phone call, if you had that meeting with that doctor, that Joe Biden would be pulling for you. If he knew you, he'd call you. If he didn't know you and found out about it, he'd pray for you. And that's why I think you're seeing this kind of reaction.
I just can't believe that they would humanize Hitler like that.
I can't believe it either.
I mean, what psychopaths these people are. CNN turning to supporters of Hitler the way that they're trying to humanize him, trying to make you like the guy. Just another sad twist to the whole story. Pyramid Roofing Company, talk at text line 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. I want a great homeloan.com. Your home loan needs, big, small, everything in between, refinancing, reverse mortgage. You've heard of those. Is that the right thing for you? Well, I don't know. And frankly, that's not something that probably the characters in the team will straight up tell you, oh, here's exactly what you need to do. If you don't do this, it's going to be a mistake. But they're going to provide you with the information you need to make the decisions. And if you ask them, well, what would you do? They will be more than happy to, just lay out, well, if it were me, I'd probably do this and so forth. But it's all about you being able to make the best decision possible. Refinancing, a lot of times you think, well, I don't want to make a move because I got a 3% interest rate, and I'll be doubling that or more if I do any refinancing, or if I sell my home and I got to get a home loan to buy a new one. Sometimes it is not to your disadvantage to go to a higher interest rate. That's all info they can share with you, so you can, again, make that ultimate decision for yourself. To get started with any questions of the process, iwantagreathomeloan.com, because you do. The Trump family, Donald Trump, Melania, evidently Don Jr. also had posted out messages rooting for Joe Biden and this recent diagnosis of extremely advanced cancer. And there have been a few that Paul Begala and Van Jones, these left-wing Democrats that have proactively, unprompted, said, hey, I think that Trump deserves kudos for the graceful and kind nature of discussing this and posting on Truth Social. And it does leave a lot of people. Listen, we know this. If the shoe were in the other foot, right? What would they be saying? Now, we know that there's a difference between what a lot of the social justice keyboard warriors that aren't on television would be saying. We all know. We don't even have to pretend to try and figure out what people who want Trump dead would say if he were to receive this diagnosis. But what would they be saying on the news networks, the commentary? I can tell you exactly what they would say. They would put this in the context of these false news stories and narratives that Republicans are wanting to slash Medicaid and Medicare. They would take that disinformation campaign that Republicans are going to be taking away your ability to get medical care. And well, what would that mean for somebody like Donald Trump? And we would hear about how, Donald Trump, he's very fortunate because he's president. And even if he weren't, he has the financial means. But think about all of those people that get this sort of diagnosis that rely on Medicaid and Medicare, and Republicans wanting to steal that away. You'd think that would be their exact approach. And I don't know that they won't bring that up even in the context of Joe Biden. Utilizing Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis as a way to try and make Republicans look horrible and heartless. Now think of the irony of that. These are people that have demonstrated absolutely no care whatsoever for the well-being of Joe Biden. None. The opposite, in fact. This doctor, which it's really hard to figure out where he's coming from because he kept spitting out these public diagnosis of Joe Biden as being perfectly fit and no health problems that are, meaningful whatsoever. Just, wear and tear, normal human stuff. But according to Jake Tapper's book, he was afraid that Joe Biden staffers were going to kill him because they had so little regard for his health. That they were just pushing him and pushing him and pushing him and pushing him, and that they were going to literally cause him to die early. So if they do, in fact, and again, this is how they operate, so it wouldn't surprise me, try and utilize this diagnosis as a way to make some point about the disinformation campaign that they're out there spreading about Republicans wanting to cut Medicare and cut Medicaid. And it's the standard crap that they always say. It will be the ultimate irony coming from the people who have demonstrated they care nothing about this guy's health. Now, I thought this was an interesting piece that actually came out a few days ago, and it was noting that Democrats' oldest lawmakers are mostly running again. Democrats are at war with themselves over their aging leadership, but many of the party's oldest members of Congress are still running for re-election in 2026, according to Axios. Why it matters, they write, younger Democrats have been engaged in a fierce internal fight to sideline the 70 and 80-year-olds who they say hold too much sway over the levers of power of the party. Of the 30 House Democrats who are 75 or older, more than half told Axios that they plan to run again in 2026. This includes Maxine Waters, who's 86, Rosa DeLaura, 82, John Garamendi, 80, Doris Matsui, 80, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, 80, Lloyd Doggett, 78, Mary Kaptur, 78, Jerry Nadler, 77, Al Green, 77, and Benny Thompson, 77. There's also Zoe Lofgren, 77, Kwesi Mfume, 76, Richard Neal, 76, Lois Frankel, 76, Steve Cohen, 75, Joyce Beatty, 75, are also on the list. Representative David Scott, 79, who was ousted as the Ag Committee ranking member last year over concerns about his health, is running again. So is Representative Dwight Evans, 70, who suffered a stroke last May, forcing him to miss House votes the rest of the year. 76-year-old Democrat Representative John Larson, who froze up during a House floor speech in February due to a partial seizure, quote, does intend to run for re-election, his spokesperson said. Now, there are those who have yet to declare whether they're going to. 85-year-old Nancy Pelosi. Do you know she's 85? I don't know if I would have guessed 85. 85 years old, declined to say what she will do in 2026, as did former Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, who's 85, Democrat Representative Frederica Wilson, 82, and Alma Adams, 78. Representative Danny Davis of Illinois, Democrat, 83, told Axios he will decide in maybe a month whether he plans to run again. 80-year-old Emmanuel Cleaver from Missouri is also undecided. Only Reps Jan Skakowski, 80, and Jerry Connolly, 75, said that they are retiring. So only two. And there does appear to be, at least in terms of activity, this massive age gap in the Democrat Party. And I know that there are a number of middle-aged Democrats, but the people who are controlling the party now are 75 years plus. The people who are attempting to control the party now are like 30 and under. I mean, they are these, the David Hoggs. I don't know how old Ocasio-Cortez and Crockett and some of these others are, but there's just this real massive age gap, and it seems to be from a party that has failed to prepare for a transition. And because of that, this vacuum has been created. And these young people have decided to fill it. And because of that, you have this ongoing battle, and there's another story, I think it's in Breitbart, about the increased drama within the DNC and this attempt to overthrow David Hogg, who was elected just months ago as vice chair of the DNC. And when you see the story in Axios about how these extremely, extremely elderly people in the Democrat Party are planning on running for re-election, and then most of the other news stories are about these younger, hysterical, left-wing nut job Democrats, it just shows you what a mess the Democrat Party is today. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. It's interesting. A number of you have thoughts along the same lines, trying to figure out why it is that it wasn't until now they announced Joe Biden's extremely advanced cancer diagnosis, one that usually from the time of, its development to the point it's gotten with Joe Biden, you're talking 5 to 7 years or so, yet apparently this has just fast-tracked itself with Joe Biden in less than a year's time. People, of course, rightfully so, speculating that we've been lied to some degree and about all of this. Just a thought, maybe Biden was supposed to die of cancer in late 2024, allowing Kamala or another to run for president, but he did not pass as planned, hence the campaign dropout. Now comes the disconnect from the Biden administration, and another noting sugar feeds cancer. They fed Joe ice cream all the time. Joe goes down. That equals President Kamala. This was an assassination attempt. He just lasted longer than they planned. And I will repeat that many people will hear something like that and roll their eyes thinking, oh, well, come on. Well, at this point, I don't think it's realistic to put anything in the conspiracy theory category. Springfield's Talk 1041. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Nick Reed. We should be connecting up with Congressman Burleson coming up here in a bit. We'll get the latest on the big, beautiful bill. The House Republicans, in a rare Sunday night vote, advancing it out of the House Budget Committee. There had been some holdups by fiscal responsible Republicans, Representative Chip Roy of Texas, Ralph Norman of South Carolina had voted against the bill because I think what, $5 trillion, it required an increase of the debt ceiling. And it just seems very simple to me. And I think it seems very simple to people like Chip Roy. If we have to raise the debt ceiling, then we're doing it wrong. It just seems so obvious and straightforward. Because you can get into the nuances and the complications of everything, but if you look at the end, sort of like or when you got to more advanced math, and there was the show your work, like that was oftentimes more important than the whether you got the answer right. But still, if the answer was wrong, then you knew the work wasn't right. So if you had the right answer, but I guess you could have cheated a little bit, and so you had to show that work. So, but the answer's wrong, so the work was wrong, and that's my approach when it comes to this. Oh, debt ceiling has to go up. Okay, no, the work was wrong. See, that's that should not be part of what happens. If the debt ceiling has to increase, then you're not doing it right. And it is just, I know we've talked about this before, and we're not the only ones who feel this way. The frustration of a party that says vote for us because we're the fiscally responsible ones and rail on Biden and the Democrats for the inflationary issues and the out-of-control spending. But then when you have Republicans in charge and then Republicans that say, okay, now it's time for us to do what we said we're all about and we're going to do. And then you have, whether they're members of Congress or on the Senate side, Republicans, oh, no, oh, wait, we can't cut that, we can't do that, oh, we can't fix that, no. Well, then what's your answer? What is your answer? And when you have, I'll use again as an example, Josh Hawley's guest piece in the New York Times that primarily focuses on not cleaning up Medicaid when it comes to people, work requirements, people who can work, able-bodied people. Part of Obamacare was expanding Medicaid over to people that were able-bodied and able to work. And some of the Republicans like, hey, maybe we should just, since we all said we were against Obamacare anyhow, just go back to the way it was before. But you have Republicans like Josh Hawley against it. And I see it all over social media. Some of my left-wing friends, they are using that as ammunition. Using that, I see it posted from left-wing organizations. Look, see, this Republican's on our side. Even this Republican says. And it is the reason that Republican voters are less likely to go out and vote for Republicans because you suck any sort of excitement, any sort of forward momentum. And what happens is increasingly you have Republicans believe it doesn't matter. They're going to tell us that they're the fiscally responsible ones, but when it really comes down to it, they betray us. So Congressman Burleson is one of those that has been consistent in what it is that he says that he believes and standing for when it comes to the fiscal responsibility. So he's one of these Freedom Caucus members that oftentimes gets targeted by the tax and especially the big government spending Republicans. So hopefully we'll get a chance to grab him this morning. I know they're obviously very, very busy, so sometimes things have to get put off. But we shall see moments from now. Right now, the latest news update.
And the First Alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 80. Tonight those showers and thunderstorms will continue mainly before 3 a.m. We'll see a low around 61. For your Tuesday, mostly sunny skies with a high near 73, and looking at Wednesday, sunny with a high near 72.
Home and auto, you could save hundreds, and that's a surprising amount of money.
That's like farmer's market money.
That's like give me a gallon of that locally sourced raw honey money.
That's certified organic heirloom tomatoes in every imaginable color except red money.
Let's get 2 pounds of pink oyster mushrooms money. I'm not even sure I like pink oyster mushrooms.
Guess it's time to find out. Because you could save hundreds when you switch to Progressive and bundle. Then the world is your pink oyster mushroom. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Not another one.
26-year-old male, wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
How's the driver in the other vehicle?
Yeah, thankfully, she's okay. She had her seatbelt on.
It's really sad. You know, these tragedies are entirely preventable.
It's said click it or ticket, but for some, they should be so lucky. Besides getting a ticket or a fine, the consequences could take your life. So don't risk it. Click it or ticket. This message is brought to you by NHTSA.
Springfield 6.7 or online at classicrock1067.fm. Springfield Cardinals baseball and the Classic Rock tracks that never get old. Only on Classic Rock 106.7.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 1041.
All right, Congressman Burleson, going through security, he will reach out to us, hopefully in moments, once he gets through security. But I did want to mention, I thought this was such a funny take, and the Robert Hur audio has been released, and it shows why it is that Democrats wanted to keep it under wraps. The Robert Hur was the special counsel that was charged with investigating whether or not Joe Biden, while he was vice president, illegally took classified information and then perhaps even shared it. And we learned that he did, in fact, do that. Robert Hur, however, said that the guy is senile, and so it just doesn't make any sense to go after him. He's a forgetful old man who was very confused much of the time, and so it doesn't really make sense to prosecute him. We almost forget about that in the context of all of these Democrats pretending like there was no sign whatsoever that Joe Biden had cognitive issues going on. And I mean, it was just so obvious to us. We forget that at one point, the entire reason the special counsel said we probably shouldn't prosecute this guy was because he was senile. Of all of the other things out there that were occurring, this was a pretty straightforward declaration by by the special investigator, the special counsel, that, yeah, no, there's something wrong with this guy. He's not all there. Yeah, and, I'm sure we remember, Democrats railed on him. How dare you? This is the furthest thing from the truth, they said. And they attacked him for making that declaration. Now, the problem, of course, was that by law, he had to explain the reason for not recommending the prosecution. That was part of the special counsel law, that you have to give an explanation why it is that you're making the recommendation that you're making. So he didn't have any choice other than lying and claiming that, well, Joe Biden didn't have classified information. But what we've learned is, and this is in the recordings, that he's he fully acknowledged. Now, he didn't really remember. Part of the evidence was recordings of him talking to this author that was going to be a ghostwriter, and Joe Biden talking about, I just found these classified documents down in the basement. The hilarious positioning of this, however, to me, was on CNN, and host Abby Phillips said the following: if Democrats had taken seriously, which, by the way, in a way, Robert Hur kind of undersold this. He kind of threw Joe Biden a lifeline. It was an opportunity, actually, for Democrats to take it seriously, maybe change gears at that point, and maybe give a potential nominee more time. So Robert Hur went from somebody that in his explanation regarding a decision not to recommend prosecution said it's because he has mental problems, that you putting an old, forgetful, senile guy on trial wouldn't be right. And the networks like CNN railed on him for characterizing it that way, now are accusing him of underselling it. Once again, the media were victims. Once again, CNN playing as if the reason they didn't realize how bad all of that was, now that they hear the audio, of those questions by Robert Hur, was because he undersold it. Very creative take by the folks over at CNN. Congressman Burleson joins us this morning. Appreciate it, as always. I know that, it's always busy for you, but with this budget situation in particular, news that there was a rare Sunday night vote, House Budget Committee, where it had been held up. I think Friday was a vote down for it, but a number of Republicans, I think, voted present, which allowed it to move forward out of committee. And it's the standard fiscal conservative Republicans like Chip Roy and others that are saying, listen, this is requiring us to raise the debt ceiling again. This is defeating the purpose. So how do you see this, and where is it going?
Yeah. Okay. So just to kind of give everybody like an overall position of where things are, the bill that came out of between. So when we sent to the committees the instructions to say you're supposed to cut at least this much and you're supposed to cut this much, and then Ways and Means can cut taxes by this much, they came back with a proposal that met the minimum standards, but it offset and put all of the savings in future years. So when you looked at a chart, the first few years, in fact, I think it's like the first 5 or 6 years, we actually go into greater deficit. So it's making the deficits worse immediately. And it's like the wimpy, saying, right, I'll gladly pay you, Tuesday. For a hamburger, Tuesday for a hamburger today. And so that's what they tried to do. But that's why members of Freedom Caucus said, nope, that doesn't meet the spirit of what we agreed to. You guys are, because we all know that a new president and new administration and a future Congress can try to base and they have successfully undone all of the, or extended all of the expiring savings. So
what's the motivation behind doing it this way? The way that the kicking in the can of savings down the road. What's the motivation for that?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few. For every one of these savings opportunities, you've got a lobbyist group that's fighting against it. So the green energy tax credits, you can imagine there's an army of lobbyists that are advocating for that. And the irony of all of them is that, and I told this to leadership. I said, my biggest complaint is that you're cutting off the one tax credit that is probably the least offensive, which is the solar for individual homeowners, and then you're immediately cutting that one off, but then you're extending, and in some cases you're never expiring the ones for corporations and utility companies. So to me, the reason why I like residential solar is it gives you a chance to free yourself from a monopoly utility company, right?
Got it.
That's a conservative thought. Well, but at the end of the day, I think that all of it is kind of hokum, and we should get rid of all of it. But the fact that they didn't for those particular ones suggests, I mean, it doesn't suggest, it's obvious. It's all based on who has the most powerful lobby. Same thing goes with the Medicaid savings that we have. They pushed off the work requirements, which is the most common sense thing in the world. They said that, and their excuse was that we can't force states to implement it because the states won't have enough time to implement these work requirements. Well, they were using those work requirements before COVID. So you can't tell me that the states don't have some mechanism because it existed once before. So that's kind of the fights that we've been having. We were able to push Freedom Caucus members on the budget. We're able to, by holding out until last night's vote, we're able to push up the expiration of the work requirements on Medicaid from 2029 to 2020 to end of 2026.
Okay.
And so they were able to move that up. They were able to move up, accelerate a lot of the green energy tax cuts and expire them. The big thing that at the end of the day, and the reason why they didn't vote yes, and why I'm not voting yes yet, and why a lot of members are not going to vote yes, is because they're still not dealing with the biggest problem of all, which is Medicaid expansion and the problem that we are facing with states that are laundering money in order to expand their Medicaid populations. If we don't end that, all the conversations about savings go way out the window, because we will lose more from the states that will expand than we will ever make up in all these savings.
And I know the big public relations issue that those of you who are looking to fix that problem in particular is the standard disinformation campaign that you're going to be kicking off the most vulnerable people from healthcare, and that, I mean, it's just the same stuff over and over again. Do you think that is going to be a massive obstacle for you all on this?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're going to be fighting all the way till probably Wednesday, Thursday morning on this, and may have to vote no and push it into weeks into the future, and probably going to have conversations from the White House and a lot of pressure that's going to be focused on us to give in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we strongly feel that we cannot allow this to continue, especially given the fact that it's just completely obtuse and ignores what just happened, where Moody's downgraded our bond rating. And so as a result, none of these calculations are calculating the fact that our interest rates are going up on the bond. We have to pay more for the debt that we're renewing and getting than we did before. So it's just going to make the deficits even worse.
We're talking with Congressman Burleson. Someone had it texted in this morning on the Pyramid Roofing Company Talk a Text line, noting that I think they're on your email list, and that you had, I believe it was a video that they felt was a very good video in explaining the situation and kind of what they said was a cover-up of a lot of what's going on in terms of the spending and so forth. If you know which video I'm referencing here, is there a place that we can get that, and so we can make sure people see it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
On YouTube at Rep. Eric Burleson. And I just thought it was like a 20-minute video of me explaining a lot of the things that people don't normally talk about. But they hear these words like reconciliation, they hear deficits and debt and all of this and where things are. And so my team spent a lot of time and work on it. We made some slides to kind of explain where things were and the context of the debate that we're having. And so I'm really pleased with the amount of work my team did on it. And I watched myself back in the video and realized I need to lose some weight.
We're talking with Congressman Burleson. This announcement, I guess, yesterday about this severely advanced form of prostate cancer that is metastasized with Joe Biden. And, you know, the timeline is, for a lot of people, very suspicious. Something that generally we're told takes 5 to 7 years to advance to this point, yet he gets regular checkups, presumably every annual physical he gets checked for prostate cancer, yet he's constantly gotten a good bill of health. This just seems like another sort of cover-up for reasons of probably power. Is there much discussion? I mean, obviously you guys are just knee deep in all of this stuff with the budget, but it just seems like here we go again.
Yeah, and I honestly, the human side of me, the Christian side of me thinks, I feel bad for anybody that gets cancer and the fact that he's going through this. And I think that the frustrating part for me throughout all of this is being a part of the investigation and seeing how much money laundering that the Bidens were doing. And literally that the guy sold us out. Like he sold us out to foreign adversaries, and he personally profited on this. Like it's not that the country profited. It's not like he, like Donald Trump is letting the government take a plane from Qatar, and I'm not saying condoning it, but I'm saying the U.S. government is benefiting, and yet what Joe Biden did was like his family accepted cars, like supercars and diamonds and things like that. And what's frustrating to me is that all of that is getting thrown under the rug because of his health conditions. And because, and so at the end of the day, I think that I pray for his health. I pray for, his recovery, but at the end of the day, justice should have been served. And I think that family avoided a lot of,
certainly
avoided the justice system.
Well, and then a couple more questions, and if you have to cut it short, I understand because you've got the flight, but there's just been so much going on. I've heard openly people saying there really need to be investigations into this stuff with Biden and the cover-up of his complete cognitive decline, the specific revelations coming out with Jake Tapper's book, that this is a very serious, there were a lot of people involved in this. And so just curious if you think that is potentially something on the horizon, but also just your thoughts of Trump in the Middle East and just watching all of that play out and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that Chairman Comer has indicated that we will be holding a hearing on the decline. And so I think that that we will probably have some focus on that. I need to get a hold of that Jake Tapper book, but I don't want to buy it because I don't want him to get
to
my
reward
money.
him. Yeah, I know.
So I'm probably going to check it out from the Library of Congress. But yeah, at the end of what was your last question?
Just everything, even the reception of Trump and almost America into these Middle Eastern countries. It was just such an amazing thing visually to see. But in addition to that, all of these different deals that Trump was making on behalf of American companies and the American people. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, I think it's great. I think it was clear that it was a successful trip because even Democrats would, whenever they were being interviewed on yesterday's talk shows, they would say that that was a positive and that was a big win, but then they would immediately segue into but he's Hitler. Blah, blah, blah. But he's still Hitler. But I do think that this Trump has created kind of like the Monroe Doctrine and he's created a new doctrine in the way in which we approach our foreign policy that I think it strikes a chord with where people are after all of these unsuccessful wars where we meddled in other countries' business because we didn't like the fact that they were, they weren't democracies. And, admittedly, it would be wonderful if we could have gotten Iraq to be a truly, constitutional republic like the United States or Afghanistan. But we haven't been able to be successful in that. And there's been a lot of lives lost, a lot of disabled veterans because of this, and a lot of money spent. And so Trump's attitude is, look, as long as you're not hostile and you're playing nice, we're not going to go in and tell you that you have to change your system about that, women can drive in your country or, all of the things like especially all of the egregious things that we've been doing under the Biden administration, where we go in and say, we're not going to give you any aid unless you eliminate your Planned Parenthood, or not eliminate, unless you keep your Planned Parenthood or take this new Planned Parenthood facility. So we've been really meddling with the cultures of all these countries. And I think Trump's doctrine is a basically hands-off approach, which I think is warranted in this time.
Congressman Burleson, as always, thank you. Appreciate the insight and good luck on the budget stuff. I know that, sometimes doing the right thing and standing by your word is not easy, particularly in Washington, D.C., and it doesn't go unnoticed that you do so.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a great, safe trip, Congressman Burleson, everyone, and we'll get that video up that someone had texted in, talked about. It was very insightful that Congressman Burleson and his team put together there regarding aspects of the budget, because it can get very confusing, particularly when you have, Trump just wants to get it through. And so sometimes he's like, we got to push this through. But then you hear fiscal conservatives that are saying, no, wait a minute here. We've got to fix some of these other things, because if it doesn't happen now, it will never happen. And it can become kind of messy in the wash there. So we'll have that up on. Do we have that up somewhere? Did you find it yet?
Yes, I did. Yep. It'll be under the must-read headlines, which is just right underneath that homepage slider at ksgf.com. And I'll also link it in this podcast as well.
Perfect. We got traffic in a moment. And look at the weather as well. Any potential storms on the way. Sarah will have that. I'm Nick Reed.
This is your home for Town Hall SRN News every hour. This is Springfield's Talk 104.1.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
Gonna jump straight over to traffic. It went a little bit long in that segment, but worthwhile, I'd say. Here is traffic. I'm Nick Reed.
Traffic brought to you by Junior's Plumbing, licensed and insured with over 30 years experience. Fast, reliable service at affordable prices. We do everything plumbing. Visit juniorsplumbingmo.com.
Still no incidents or delays to slow you down out there here on your Monday morning around the area. Everything looks good. All the roads around the city, into the city, and out of the city look good. 44 looks good as well as you make your way into work or school this morning. Again, everything looks good out there, so nothing to slow you down around the area.
Bob of St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Do I need single, double, or triple pane windows?
Dual pane is generally what I recommend with our translucent silver on the glass and then filled with argon gas and our spacer system. Once in a while, I go to our triple pane, and the reason for that is if someone's got a big wall of glass where they're just getting killed by the sun. Definitely helps them on utility bills and comfort levels in their house. And it really doesn't cost that much more.
For your next window, St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvement, 883-7748.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
We can be twinsies.
to
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
KSGF Mornings with Nick Reed, sponsored by the Carricker team at IWantAGreatHomeLoan.com. Because when the time comes, you'll want a great home loan. IWantAGreatHomeLoan.com. NMLS number 1283419.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 1041.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 80. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms will continue mainly before 3 a.m. We'll see a low around 61. For your Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 73, and looking ahead to Wednesday, sunny skies with a high near 72. And the Pyramid Roofing Company, strong storms will develop this afternoon, and they will continue on into Tuesday. We do have a chance for hail up to tennis ball size, wind gusts up to 70 to 80 mile per hour, and flash flooding, and maybe even a tornado or two. Now, a lot of these threats seem to be kind of isolated for the western part of the KSGF listening area, so please, if you're in that area, make sure to just stay weather aware today. And if you do have storm damage, don't go with a random door knocker, because oftentimes they don't have your best interest in mind. So who do you call? Well, I'll tell you. Josh and his team over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. If you experience any type of roof damage, whether it be leaks, drips, shingles blows off, whatever the case, the Pyramid Roofing Company, they can get you all taken care of. They offer emergency tarping services. They also offer free roof inspections, and they work with you through that insurance process without making you sign anything. So for all of your roofing needs, give Josh a call, and you can find all of that contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
It has been a day or so since there's been any new real developments regarding the investigation into former FBI Director James Comey and the seashell find that he made miraculously and then pretended as if he didn't know what it meant. This is a real go-to for Democrats to play dumb. We saw Hillary Clinton do it when she violated subpoenas and wiped clean, as they call it, the servers, and then played the game Comey's playing now. Well, wipe like with a cloth? I don't understand. I'm just a girl. I don't know. Computers are confusing to me. James Comey is taking this same, I didn't know what this meant. I had no idea. I just found seashells all spilled out of the absurdity of it. It's quite embarrassing. Some of the latest Breitbart reporting, Senator Cotton is asking Kash Patel to investigate James Comey, and not just, of course, this 8647 thing, but Friday, Cotton had sent a letter to Patel's officially asking him to review all FBI actions in which former Director James Comey was personally involved. Cotton's letter, exclusively obtained by Breitbart News, went on to note that Comey has, quote, politicized investigations, been at the center of leaks, and obviously shown bias against the Trump administration and his supporters. The Intel chair also brought up Trump's own response to Comey's alarming Instagram post, which he issued during a portion of an interview which aired on Fox News. According to Trump, noting that 8647 is a call for an assassination. I love how, if you ask Democrats, they're just tripping over themselves to find every other definition possible but. Breitbart story looked up, for the purposes of accuracy, the definition in Cassell's Dictionary of Slang. in which it reads that the number 86, common term used in the hospitality industry as well as in the military and intelligence communities, which can mean canceling an order or to, quote, kill, murder, or execute judicially. And pretty much everyone immediately who has ever served in the military, when they heard, 86, the guy, they knew exactly what this meant. But again, you have not just James Comey, but Democrats taking the position that they're a bunch of idiots, and they just have no clue whatsoever. Look, we found a definition that said it means something other than that. Well, okay. Most words do have a couple of different meanings, but I think we can all agree in this particular case, given the context, we know what James Comey was talking about. Now, Cotton here, it seems to be suggesting that given, and I think that there's definite validity to this, given Comey's demonstration of very poor judgment regarding anything involving Donald Trump, maybe we should look into anything that his fingerprints were on as director of the FBI that involved Donald Trump. Because clearly, if you even want to believe that James Comey's just pure as the driven snow and was totally ignorant as to what this meant, the fact that a grown man would clearly, I don't think anyone believes that he just randomly stumbled upon these seashells. I think we can all agree that he was lying about that part. That is a demonstration that he does not have good judgment at all when it comes to anything Donald Trump. And given that now, we see that that is clear, that Comey has demonstrated that. And this isn't the first instance, but this one just really ratcheted it up because of the nature of it and the assassination bent on it, that somebody who was head of the FBI, what else was he doing? We know a lot of what he did. He leaked stuff. He lied about stuff under his direction as FBI director. FBI attorney, one in particular, falsified evidence before the FISA courts. So what else was done? What other irrational, politicized behavior came at the direction of James Comey? The senator also commended the quick launch of an investigation by the Secret Service, thanking the FBI for offering support. A senior congressional official told Breitbart News that Cotton's letter is just the start, saying, quote, "We have long known that Comey was a partisan hack, but the fact that he is making assassination references towards a president who has faced assassination attempts shows that every single thing he did must be investigated to see how badly he was abusing his office. James Comey is not above the law, and the Senate is united to hold him accountable." You know what Trump called him? I believe it was Trump, that I think is the absolute perfect term that just nails Comey, and that's dirty cop. And I think that completely nails Comey in terms of just a description of how it is that he's behaved, what he's done. He's a dirty cop. He's no different than any sort of dirty cop on the street that, plants drugs on someone to make a bust or falsifies evidence in order to convict someone that is innocent of a crime. He's a dirty cop. Now, and we've got to get a traffic update. There's been, obviously, on Friday, there was a tremendous amount of discussion about, well, should he face any sort of punishment for this? Or is this, it was dumb, it was boneheaded, he shouldn't have done it, he should have known better, but freedom of speech and all. But Comey is different. I want to just give you a perspective on this that I believe leans towards there should potentially be some sort of accountability here beyond saying, It's all right. Don't worry about it. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed.
Traffic sponsored by Junior's Plumbing. Hot water heaters starting at $1,400 installed. Quality equipment and service done right. Junior'sPlumbingMO.com.
No new incidents or delays reported this time around the area. Everything looks good around the area. All the main roads in and out of the city look good. 44 looks good as well as you make your way into work or school this morning. Again, everything looks good out there on the main roads and 44 this morning as you make your way anywhere here around the area here this morning.
Wow, Dave, you're in a good mood.
I sure am, Lammy.
I'm afraid to ask, but why are you so chipper? And why do you have a shovel?
Well, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, the weather is beautiful. It's the perfect time to put my lifelong plan in motion.
I didn't know about any lifelong plan. What are you talking about?
My plan to live off the land, grow our own food, get back to nature. Just think of the money we'll save on groceries. That's even more savings for our customers. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a garden to plant and chickens to feed.
Chickens?
Oh, yeah, the goats won't be here till Friday.
Oh, Dave.
Get designer tiles starting at 99 cents a square foot. Dave's has the largest in-stock selection of all types of flooring. Save with Dave and get quality flooring for less in Springfield, Ozark, and Mountain Grove.
Call me up at 862-DAVE. Here, chick. Hey, Lammy, do you know how to pluck a chicken?
Need a car key?
Hi, folks. Ron Walker again for 417 Car Keys, where all we do is car keys. A while back, we had a father and son come in needing a new key for his new-to-him truck. He'd been to the dealer and they told him that it was going to require a $500 module replacement. Well, you guessed it. 20 minutes later, one amazed customer for a grand total of $74.16. Visit us on the web at 417carkeys.com.
Need a car key?
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. You've got a home buying need, a home selling need. You have Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. There are a lot of folks. In fact, we were having this conversation with Anthony Carricker on Friday that there are a lot of agents out there, and there are, and they deal with all walks of life, and they see a lot of them, and sometimes they're doing cleanup because they, got a client and the agent really wasn't looking out for the best interest of the client. They're just trying to get it done fast, and that oftentimes is very problematic and drags things out, makes them even more difficult. So that's the importance of having somebody that is very knowledgeable of the marketplace, has incredible work ethic, and a track record of fantastic results, and she has all of that. Look at, and this is what she's encouraged people to do, when it comes to finding a realtor, look at, you're hiring somebody, look at it as a job interview, and talk to 2 or 3. And if Emily's one of them, I know that you're going to see a tremendous difference in what that interview goes like versus what some others may go like. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just a premier level of service you get with Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. All right, here's, I think, a way that we need to look at this Comey thing. And there has been, obviously, people on the left are like, so what? I don't even think they are claiming, many of them, that Comey is telling the truth, that he just happened upon these seashells that said 8647, and that he didn't know what it meant, but he thought he would post it anyway. I don't think even Democrats believe that. The defense is, well, freedom of speech. Now, one, this is, of course, completely inconsistent amongst Democrats because the entire reason behind trying to imprison Trump over January 6th was claiming that he instigated it. Some said by, telling people to storm the Capitol, which he never did. But others say, well, by questioning the outcome of the election. That's what caused it. And to claim that a former president of the United States should go to prison because of what they say were his words, but then say freedom of speech when James Comey says 86 the guy, that's dishonest. That is not consistent. also threatening the life of the president, is kind of a crime. An understandable position is to say, well, he didn't specifically threaten, and yeah, I mean, it could be interpreted in a couple of different ways, but I'm uncomfortable when there is arguably a gray area there, saying that James Comey should be held accountable for this, especially given that it's not, the Secret Service talks to him and it becomes clear to them that he actually had no plans to kill the president. And because obviously James Comey isn't going to assassinate Donald Trump, it's clear that while it may have been in poor taste and poor judgment, that he wasn't actually doing anything or saying anything that was actually a threat to Trump. But I would argue that's not the case. And here's why. If you're just some nobody schmuck, and you go on social media, and you put 86 Trump, 8647, and Secret Service pays you a call, and they find out that you're just blowing off steam, that that you didn't really mean anything by it, or maybe you really didn't know what it meant, but they determine that you as an individual aren't actually a threat to the president. Then it is determined that the threat itself, that wasn't an actual threat. But James Comey is not some random person on the internet. For a lot of people, James Comey's words have clout. They have authority behind them. Charles Manson was sentenced to life in prison. Do you know how many people he actually murdered? He never killed a single person. But he went to prison because his words were deemed responsible for the actions of his followers. And so you had, in this particular instance, it's not the only time, just using this as an example because it's relatively high profile, this is an individual who went to prison for killing people, even though he never actually killed anyone, but his words led other people to do it. In an environment in which it has been demonstrated with an increased frequency that left-wing activists are taking their cues from people that are elected officials or high-profile individuals that are calling Trump, a Nazi and Hitler, and calling ICE agents Gestapo, which is what Tampon Tim Walz just did at a commencement speech. Chuck Schumer telling Kavanaugh, if you touch Roe v. Wade, a whirlwind will come your way. You won't know what hit you. And sure enough, some Democrat activist decides to take action on it. When Bernie Sanders has a campaign volunteer who is regurgitating the talking points and then seeks out to take out Republicans because he believes what Bernie Sanders says about them. People trying to take out Supreme Court justices because they believe what Chuck Schumer says about them. People firebombing ICE facilities because they believe what people like Kamala Harris was saying about them, that they're the modern-day Klan. And then when you are the former head of the FBI with easily the same amount of clout, the same amount of followers on social media, and you utilize your credibility to put out there, hey, look what I found. This is kind of neat. 86-47. That's not just that is the danger. It isn't that James Comey himself, whether or not he might actually try to assassinate Donald Trump, but his credibility, his clout, his name recognition, that resume of former director of the FBI, someone that has been lionized by the media as pure as the driven snow. knowing that that could very well compel someone to do so, that's where the danger lies. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed.
Go Patrol Traffic, presented by Sportsland, now proud to carry Ferris zero-turn mowers that make your mowing smooth.
Sportsland, pickup covers, and trailer sales.
No new incidents or delays to report at this time here on your Monday morning around the area. Everything's looking good out there. All the main roads, all the side streets are looking good in and out of the city. 44 is looking really good as well as you head into the city or out of the city this morning. Everything looks good as you make your way around the Springfield area.
This report is sponsored by Batteries Plus. Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
It's no surprise the yard needs to be mowed. Hi, this is Terry from the Tractor Barn Farm and Lawn. Sure, you could grunt and grumble when you mow, or you could breeze through it with a new Toro mower. From push mowers to 34-inch zero-turn mowers that fit through smaller residential gates, there really is something for everyone with a yard. Come test drive our Toro mowers at the Tractor Barn Farm and Lawn, located just east of Republic off Highway 60. The Tractor Barn Farm and Lawn, where you're not our customer, you're our friend.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
All right, so there is going to be at 10 a.m. a concert announcement coming, and we will have a chance for you to win tickets to that, but they've got an embargo on it, as oftentimes these announcements do have on them, like an official, okay, well, you can't announce it until this time, but just to give you a heads up that there will be an announcement coming, and we will have tickets for that giveaway, so something for you to get all excited about. I do want to talk in the upcoming hour. I'm telling you, these Democrats, they can no longer claim that they are not trying to encourage people to assassinate the targets of their scorn. Tim Walz, a commencement speech at the University of Minnesota, compared ICE agents. These are law enforcement people that are currently putting their lives on the line to get terrorists, to get gang members, to get child molesters, to get murderers, to get rapists off the streets. And he tells this audience filled with graduates that ICE agents are the modern-day Gestapo. So we'll have that and more coming up.
Nancy here from Greene County Freight and Food Sales. You know, the best and lowest prices are found under the big red roof. It's why folks come in and stock up. And those folks come in often. That's Big Red Roof Smart Shopping. As our inventory changes sometimes every day. If you stocked up yesterday, you may miss out on the new items that just came in today. Come back and see us again. After all, we are where the smart people shop. Greene County Freight and Food Sales under the big red roof, 3055 West Kearney.
Physicians, your future starts here. Eisenhower Health is recruiting across a variety of specialties. As a nonprofit health system in Southern California's beautiful Coachella Valley, Eisenhower offers medical excellence alongside an exceptional quality of life. Start your day with sunshine and stunning landscapes. End it knowing you've made a difference. Deliver top-tier care with advanced technology, all in a place where work-life balance thrives. Find your place at Eisenhower Health. Visit emc.org/MD to learn more.
Springfield's Talk 104.1, broadcasting live from the Pyramid Roofing Studios. It's now 8 o'clock. KSGF FM, Ash Grove, Springfield, and 1260 AM, KSGF Springfield.
News on Springfield's Talk 1041 is brought to you by Pinnagar Honda, the home of legendary service. Visit their new showroom on South Campbell or PinnagarHonda.com.
It's the grand opening of the all-new remodeled Pinnagar Honda in Springfield, and we're celebrating in a big way. Come see our stunning new showroom, expanded service center, and the latest Honda lineup, including the all-new 2026 Honda Passport. Oh, and here's the best part. With every new vehicle purchase, you'll get gas for the entire summer on Pinnagar Honda. That's right. Drive into summer with a full tank on us. Hurry into Pinnagar Honda and let our family take care of yours, where the deals are hot and the gas is on us.
Go Patrol Traffic, presented by Sportsland. Need a dump trailer? Shop a variety of commercial and residential trailers.
Sportsland, pickup covers, and trailer sales.
No new incidents or delays reported this time here on your Monday morning around the area. Everything's looking good out there. All the main roads, all the side streets are looking good in and out of the city. 44 is looking really good as well as you head into the city or out of the city this morning. Everything looks good as you make your way around the Springfield area.
This report is sponsored by Indigo Sky Casino.
Start the weekend at Indigo Sky Casino. Fridays in May from 6 to 10 p.m. Play for your chance to win up to $10,000 cash. Experience the Indigo Sky difference. Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com for details.
Hey, Bob of St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Do I need single, double, or triple pane windows?
Dual pane is generally what I recommend with our translucent silver on the glass and then filled with argon gas and our spacer system. Once in a while, I go to our triple pane. And the reason for that is if someone's got a big wall of glass where they're just getting killed by the sun. Definitely helps them on utility bills and comfort levels in their house. And it really doesn't cost that much more.
For your next window, St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements, 883-7748.
Discover unbeatable value at Swin Dispensaries, where your budget and high are top priorities. With the largest selection of flour, pre-rolls, edibles, and more, Swin is your go-to for industry-leading quality. Today's special, Mellow Monday, 30% off everything indica. Visit swindispensaries.com for discreet shipping straight to your door. Swin Dispensaries, same great feel, priced better. Visit swindispensaries.com.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. With 56 million winning tickets last year, anyone can win big. So set your destination to winning, like gas stations, grocery stores, or anywhere you can buy a ticket. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
When you golf in Missouri, the courses are so close you'll spend more time on the fairway than the freeway. After the back nine, enjoy our world-class dining and distilleries, shops and spas, museums, and more. Find your new golf MO at visitmo.com.
Mornings with Nick Reed is brought to you by Crown Power and Equipment. Crown Power and Equipment, your local Kubota dealer in Springfield and Monette. Passion, power, performance. Crown-power.com.
Now's the time to make every season count with Kubota. Right now during Kubota Orange Days. Take home the L3302 with 0% financing for 84 months. No compromises, no shortcuts. Just power and reliability you can count on. From sunrise to sunset, acre after acre, Kubota works as hard as you do. The work won't wait, and neither should you. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/offers for full disclaimer. Passion, power, performance. Kubota Orange Days. On now at Crown Power and Equipment.
The new Pope met with Vance.
Oh,
Yeah, now if he dies,
no.
that would
Let's
just
not-
be really, really bad.
Let's not even speak that into existence.
Oh, JD. I've learned that there are some Democrats that really genuinely have a conspiracy theory that he did kill the last
Of
Pope.
course.
People are. Oh, someone had texted. Where was it? They said. They asked if I saw there were a handful of protesters that were somewhere, but they said they actually seemed kind of sad. Oh, shoot. Where was that text? Well, I guess that there were protesters somewhere. Once again, just anti-Trump. Just anti-Trump. if you're observing what is actually going on in the world, the massively important work that is being done, the transformational things that Trump is responsible for in the Middle East in particular, and then you see people that are out there and they're just like Trump in general, and what a sad existence. I think about the amount of time some of these people spend just yelling at traffic with their little signs. If you would do something meaningful, volunteer somewhere, help, mow your neighbor's lawn if they're elderly, these things, but instead just yelling, just negative, and then feeling like we really did something important here today. Okay. The upside is they hurt their cause. Normal people that may not necessarily, I got Trump. Yeah, I think he does some good things. I think he does some bad things. Just they have this normal approach. When they see that, it's helpful to Trump, and that is the hilarious irony of some of these most rabid anti-Trump people is they actually they discredit themselves, and so they are doing themselves more harm than good. And what occurs because of their mental state is that makes them even more hysterical as opposed to going, wait a minute, maybe our presentation isn't the best here. People aren't really receiving our messaging in a positive way, so we need to recalibrate and think about how to better market ourselves to not seem like just a bunch of crazy lunatics that are yelling on the side of the road about how awful Donald Trump is. But their minds don't work that way. Their response is to do more of it, and it just really doesn't work in their favor. Now, speaking of hysterical nut jobs, Tampon Tim Walz comparing ICE agents to modern-day Gestapo. During a commencement speech at the University of Minnesota, the Minnesota governor and failed vice presidential candidate compared hardworking ICE agents to the modern-day Gestapo, saying, quote, Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the street. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. Did you know that? That's new. Now, he doesn't explain where these torture dungeons are and why exactly people who are in this country illegally are being shipped to foreign torture dungeons. And, of course, they may be foreign to us, but they're not foreign to the deportees because these are their homes. They're just going back home. He falsely claims no chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye, just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared. Well, I mean, yes, every day you see this everywhere. Again, this term disappeared is being used erroneously. Everyone knows where these people go. And everyone knows why. It's pretty easy. What country is their country of origin? Where did they leave to break into our country illegally? El Salvador, okay, that's where they go. Mexico, that's where they go. Canada, that's where they go. It's not a difficult thing to figure out. That's not disappearing. When you know where the people go, that is not disappearing. He went on to say, can you imagine this guy could have been vice president of the United States? To be clear, there's no way for us to know whether they were actually criminals or not because they refused to give them a trial. We're supposed to just take their word for it. This, of course, is conflating. You don't have to have committed an additional crime to be deported. For efficiency purposes, those are the folks that the administration started with because many of them were already in jail. They had warrants out for their arrests. They're oftentimes easy to find because they collectively spend time in the same geographic areas. And once again, what we're talking about here, at the very most benign, people who aren't supposed to be here, they're here illegally. And to the most extreme, we're talking about child rapists, terrorists, gang members. and Americans whose job it is to enforce the law, who are putting their lives on the line. And Tim Walz wants to put an additional target on them by labeling them Nazis. So that maybe, once again, we'll have some other Democrat activists out there that think, well, these are Nazis. This is the Gestapo. I have to take matters into my own hands. This is a governor who's declaring these people to be Gestapo. The moral thing to do is to stop them because they're Nazis. And talk about diminishing what it is that the people who were truly victims of the Gestapo went through in history. Do you see how flippant these people are on the left about true atrocities to humanity, that the only real purpose it serves them is to try and demonize their political opposition? The horrors that not just humanity, but individual people went through, women, men, mothers, fathers, young children. For Tim Walz, that's just an attack line. All of those lives, all of those horrors. What does he get out of it? Oh, I can use their deaths in order to attack my political opposition. He is a sicko. Anyone who compares simply enforcing the law and people who do that to what it is that the Nazis did either are woefully and dangerously ignorant about history or are psychopaths. And I think increasingly we need to recognize that apparently there is no one in the Democrat Party that is willing to stand up and say, you know what, maybe we should stop this rhetoric. Maybe we should stop trying to foster an environment that increasingly results in people trying to murder people we don't like, whether they're CEOs of insurance companies or presidential candidates. Because if you notice, they can say all they want about how what they're saying isn't inspiring anybody to do anything, but do you notice who the targets always are? Every time there is either an attempt or a successful assassination of someone that is in the political realm, whether it is an elected official or, again, the CEO of an insurance company, there are always also people that are targets of the Democrat Party. There are also always people that are demonized by members of the Democrat Party. There are people that are always compared to Nazis or the Gestapo. That's not a coincidence, and they know it's not a coincidence. And the fact that this party is increasingly becoming more and more comfortable utilizing rhetoric that they know has inspired people to try and murder their political opposition, there is no excuse any longer, this James Comey, I didn't know what it meant. They know exactly not just what it means, but they know what it has resulted in. They know what they're doing. And the fact that there are this is where the protests should be. People within the Democrat Party, do you not see what they are doing to your party? Do you not see what they have done to your party? They've turned your party into a culture that inspires people to murder other people. This is not bothersome. This doesn't call for any Democrats out there to say, you know what, I don't think so. This is not who I am. Certainly no elected Democrats seem to be standing up against this. I mean, in fact, I haven't heard any Democrat. I mean, they may exist, but that have come out, talking about what Comey has done here is not something that should be done. Instead, they try to excuse it. And what happens when you excuse it? It makes it more acceptable. And what happens when you make a behavior acceptable? More people do it. They know what they're doing. And I think we need to get past this sort of polite world of pretend in which we act like Democrats don't know what they're doing, act like they aren't deliberately trying to have their political opposite. This is terrorism. This is a form of trying to create an atmosphere of terror. And the niceties of not calling them out for it, I think we have to stop, because otherwise it is not going to stop. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Latest news update.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Angela Luna. The McDonald County Community Coalition and the Alliance of Southwest Missouri partnered up with local first responders for this year's Show Me Water Safety event. The event was created to bring awareness to both kids and adults about water safety, especially near big bodies of water. More than 20 kids rotated from different stations learning about CPR, wearing sunscreen, and throwing a rope to someone who needs help and the proper way to wear a life jacket. Authorities have identified the 2 people who died at a Springfield mobile home park on Saturday. Gustavo Salgado and Eden Gutierrez were both from Honduras. The Greene County Sheriff's Office says they traveled here illegally and were staying at the Lakewood Mobile Home Park. A person of interest was arrested in this case, but they have been released and no charges were filed. Deputies responded to the Lakewood Mobile Home Park after a 911 call reported hearing a disturbance and gunshots. An autopsy is scheduled to find out the cause of death. From Ozarks First, I'm Angela Luna.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 80. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms will continue mainly before 3 a.m. with a low around 61. For your Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 73. And looking ahead to Wednesday, sunny with a high near 72.
Go Patrol Traffic brought to you by MTS Express. New tires for your car or truck from the comfort of your home or workplace. Tire shop lobbies are a thing of the past. Locally owned and managed. MTS Express. Visit mtsexpress.com.
We are getting a report now of a non-injury accident westbound at Kearney Street past Kansas Expressway. Crews are also working with an accident eastbound at Commercial Street at North National Avenue with the through lane being closed. So be on the lookout for that as you make your way into work here on your Monday morning.
It's deer season at Heritage Tractor. Get up to $3,000 off like John Deere equipment.
Deer season? I gotta hide.
Not deer. Deer, as in John Deere.
So no one's after me?
Nope, but these deals won't last. Stop in or visit heritagetractor.com today. Offer ends June 2nd. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Employee pricing plus is on at Borland Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Save up to $17,000 off MSRP on new 2025 Ram 1500 trucks with employee pricing plus. Need heavy duty? Take up to $13,000 off MSRP on remaining 2024 Ram heavy duty trucks in stock. Get them before they are gone. Or get rates as low as 1.9% ADR for 72 months on select new models for qualified buyers. Corwin, king of trucks and employee pricing plus equals the best deal ever. Only at Corwin in Springfield.
Ready to refresh your home's furniture and decor but need expert advice? From floor plans to finishing touches, Haverty's design experts provide personalized help for your space, budget, and style at absolutely no cost. Visit Haverty's today off Highway 65 between East Division and East Chestnut.
Planning for that big family vacation can sometimes seem overwhelming. Now imagine what it must be like planning out a retirement that could last 30 years. Hi, this is Jake Floyd at Floyd Financial Group. We've been taking planning for retirement off the shoulders of people like you for more than 20 years. We assess what you have and design a plan that's broken down into bite-sized pieces so you understand how your money is going to work for you. Our plans help account for inflation, an uncertain market, and just the what-ifs that happen in all of our lives. And because we operate by the fiduciary standard, your interests are put ahead of ours. If you'd like to have a retirement that happens for you, not to you, call us for a no-cost, no obligation, and most importantly, no judgment retirement review. Call 417-889-7233. That's 417-889-7233 or request it online at floydfinancialgroup.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Floyd Financial Group, LLC.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
Ozarks elder law, no plan. Government's going to decide where your stuff goes. How you like that? No, they don't just care about taking your stuff when you're alive. You won't even be told in the grave. And they will be more than happy to make those decisions for you. You haven't made any, even before that. Medical power of attorney, haven't handled that. Like, well, I'm healthy. I don't have to worry about it. Here's a news flash. Healthy people every day have some sort of accident occur or major medical incident occur that requires someone to make decisions for them. And if you do not have that laid out, guess who does it? Government. You trust them? Oh, but I have kids. They can take. Nope, doesn't work that way. You wrote your will on a piece of paper, your instructions on a piece of paper. Doesn't count. So if you think that you have yourself protected, you need to reach out to Ozarks Elder Law. There's 10 different area locations throughout the listening area. You can find them at ozarkselderlaw.com. Get that free consultation and find out whether or not you are safe and secure. And if you're not, they'll tell you here's what we need to do, and they'll tell you up front the pricing. It's not a billable hour situation with them. It's one price, so you know ahead of time before you do it. So you can decide whether it's worth it or not. ozarkselderlaw.com, also ksgf.com under Nick's endorsements. Oh, hey, will you pull up? I'm sorry. I wanted to play the audio of a story, and it's it's about the woman talking about Trump. Okay. All right. I will vamp. I wanted to play this, and I had not seen this story, but this evidently was a story that interviewed on Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax. And she is a black woman who has lived in New York for 50 years. And she talks about how an interaction she had with Donald Trump once years ago. And the reason I wanted to play this, one, just because I think it's nice, but also for all of the things that Trump does as a human being, not just as president, is so it's so contrary to the lies that are told about him. Doesn't mean he's a perfect man. Doesn't mean that wouldn't even dare to rank him on a scale of wonderful to awful, because everyone has their own opinion of things. But there are real actual things that happen. In fact, there's also a where's the one video? The freed hostage, Eden Alexander, got a phone call with Trump, and Trump, he told Trump, quote, "You are the only reason I'm here. You saved my life. You are the only reason I'm here. You saved my life." Trump probably, as much, if not more, than most people who aren't, like a doctor or EMT, hears that messaging. I had forgotten, we were talking about one day listing the number of people that he's rescued, that there's no fanfare, there's no wonderful lionization of Trump by the media. And look how, in all of the things that he's doing and tackling, he still finds time to save people's lives, to come through for a mother who a couple of years ago said, "Rescue my son," and he did it. And I had forgotten there was a ballerina who was being held in Russia, that he secured her release a few weeks ago, and she posted a video for him thanking him for saving her, and if it weren't for him, she would not be free today. The consistency with which we see these things happen. Yet people on the left, because of this dark, twisted hatred for him, they refuse to see reality. This is it's a short bit of audio, and it's introed by the host of the show on Newsmax, introing a conversation with this woman who has lived in New York for like 50 years.
Today we were out asking New Yorkers about the Tish James probe, doing a little interview right there by Grand Central in Manhattan, and we met a woman named Debbie who's been living in New York for 50 years, and this woman blasted Tish James, said she loves Trump, says Trump saved her life one night in New York long before he was president, back in the Apprentice days. Told us quite a story. Take a listen.
Trump saved my life, literally. My dad and my mom passed at the same time. I was in a bad place. I was going towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Don't ask me why, but I was. Donald Trump was standing on 97th Street in Broadway. He was at a friend's birthday party. And when he saw me coming past, I was hysterical in tears. And he gently grabbed my arm. He was like, whoa, wait a minute. Are you okay? And he said, well, I don't know what you're going to do right now, but whatever it is, forget about it. Take it out of your head. Your mom and dad wouldn't want that. And he talked to me till I forgot all about what I was going to do. So he said, let me pray for you. So when I went to get my keys out of my pocket, and I opened my hand, he had placed a folded up, real small, folded up $100 bill in my hand. I framed it literally, and this is a true story. He saved my life. Yeah, he did. So anybody that has anything bad to say about Trump, did it, because he's a good man.
Have you heard the audio of, well, so, you know, that's this, you know, here's a black woman, by the way, which is a weird behavior for Donald Trump, given how racist he is. Saved this woman's life, stopped her from what the way she describes it was her plan to go jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, kill herself because she had just lost her parents. And he talked with her until she forgot that she was even planning to end her own life. Have you heard? I can't remember. I saved the audio. I don't know that I played of Kathy Lee, and talking about how when there were
on Trump protecting her.
Yeah, did we ever play that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, pull that up.
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, pull that up. Let's play this audio too. I thought this was very interesting. I don't even remember when this interview took place or with whom, but Kathy Lee is talking about I guess this situation that involved Donald Trump, and she's, again, I don't even recall why she's relaying this story, but anyway, she does in this description of what happened.
FBI called my husband and said, Mr. Gifford, please just keep your schedule because we don't want this guy to know that we were after him. Mm-hmm. And Frank said, I'm going to make one call. I will not agree to that until I make one call. And he called Donald. And I always stayed at the Trump Tower there with the one in Atlantic City. And Frank called Donald and said of the situation. And Donald said, this is why I will love this man for my whole life. He said, Frank, don't you worry about it. I've got your girls. I've got your girls. And don't you worry. So Frank called back the FBI and said, I called Donald Trump. He says he's going to take care of my wife and my daughter. And next day, Donald, I didn't know anything. Donald calls me and he goes, Kathy, I'm sending my helicopter for you. Oh my goodness. I said, Donald, why? He said, because you've had a baby. I said, Donald, women have babies every day. Yeah. It's no big deal. Thank you. But it's no big deal. He goes, no, congratulations for you and your baby and your nanny. And I said, Donald, I tried to talk Donald out of something. Yeah. He sent his helicopter for me. And when
you're not driving to Atlantic City, so you're flying there.
I'm flying on this helicopter. And when I arrive in Atlantic City, there are four of his security. Oh, major. I mean, these guys are major. And I said, thank you, guys. And I never thought about it all week long. More and more people every day, more and more guys until the very end. And I went downstairs from my hotel room. I'd had a guy staying outside my hotel room all week long. Outside my hotel room. And I said, why? I just, stupid, but I did. But he did.
So that, and if I remember right, the background of that, there was some sort of death threat, I think, against her husband, or maybe it was against her. It was someone in the family. And so Frank, her husband, called Donald Trump and he said, I'll take care of the girls, don't worry about it. But he didn't, apparently, the way that Kathy Lee tells the story there, he didn't want her to be frightened and scared. So he said, he was just kind of putting her up because she just had a baby so she could pamper herself and had all that security around her without ever even really telling her that he was, doing this to help protect them on behalf of her husband. I mean, these are the sorts of things that you hear about this guy. Whether it is somebody that is wealthy and affluent, like Kathy Lee Gifford there, or it is a woman, a black woman of no real financial means, who happened to run into him as she was heading to the Brooklyn Bridge in order to kill herself. And he recognized that this was a woman in trouble and talked with her until she was off that ledge, if you will. It doesn't matter to him. And, these are things that occurred well before he was running for president. This isn't, some sort of political stunt that was set up. This is just who this guy is. And it's part of the reason that people who actually know Trump, and by the way, this is why Democrats, before he ran for president, loved the guy, because everybody loved him. He was nice to everybody as a human being. Democrat, Republican, didn't make any difference, treated everyone equally. This is why he used to receive civil rights awards. And even people on the left would award him and praise him for all of the strides that he had taken in order to treat people equally and to help the community of color at times. He was always treated with those, given those awards and treated with a level of respect. Of course, when he ran for president, Democrats saw him as, political opposition, so they began trying to destroy him. And I think it's just really unfortunate that while it doesn't mean that a person who, runs for president, you're fair game. But I also think that the constant lies and the just nasty nature of those lies from the left, all for political purposes, really does all of us a disservice, because there are a lot of meaningful lessons, I think, that people can take from somebody like Donald Trump, though he has always had, from a very young age, the means to not have to worry about other people, as oftentimes wealthy people do. Just they're dismissive of them. They see them as the help. And the fact that Donald Trump has consistently demonstrated himself as a person to not be that way. And it's just a real shame that that isn't recognized more than it is, simply because of political hatred for him. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed.
This is Springfield's Talk 104.1, your home for Author of the Week, Thursday mornings, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone.
At Mobility City, our values drive everything we do. Integrity means we always put honesty first. Being customer-centric means you come first always. Diligence ensures we provide unmatched service, and reliability means that we do what we say every time. So whether you need a scooter, a power wheelchair, a lift chair, a ramp, or stair lift, we're here to make life easier. So come find out why our customers have given us a 5-star rating. Now in Springfield, Missouri, and Rogers, Arkansas.
Hey, this is Seymour from LSK Lebanon Marine and Repower Center in Lebanon, Missouri. Are you worried that now might not be the time to purchase that new boat or outboard motor? Well, fear not. We have stocked up on all Sea-Arc aluminum fishing boats in all sizes, of Suzuki engines, expecting the tariffs so we could save you money. We buy them at the best prices so you get the best price. Want to save more money on Suzuki outboards? We have up to $1,000 rebate right now. Small drive, big savings. Visit us at lsklebanon.com.
Do you suffer from constant muscle aches and pains? Then it's probably a good idea to consult a professional. The benefits of getting a massage from an experienced massage therapist can have tremendous impact on your daily life. From decreased aches and pains to better sleep, an increase in mental focus, and can even boost your immune system. If you're looking for a better way to overall health, go to halomassageandwellness.com. My name is Angela Romine of Halo Massage and Wellness, and I want to help.
You're listening to Nick in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
Traffic update. Then more ahead. I'm Nick Reed.
Traffic brought to you by Wheeler Metals, designed to efficiently fulfill all your metal roofing and trim requirements. Just off Kearney and Kansas Expressway, or visit WheelerMetals.com.
Crews are still working with an accident eastbound at Commercial Street at North National Avenue with the through lane being closed. Other than that, there's no other new incidents or delays to slow you down out there around the Springfield area. Everything looks good. 44 looks good, and all the main roads and the side streets look good around the Springfield area here this morning.
This report is sponsored by Goodwill. Give hope. Give local. give Goodwill.
This May, celebrate Older Americans Month with Goodwill. With Goodwill's Senior Community Service Employment Program, we provide job training and opportunities for older adults. Goodwill empowers seniors to learn new skills. Visit mersgoodwill.org to learn how you can get involved.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Tackle those lawn patch and repair jobs with help from Menards. Scott's Easy Seed Patch and Repair Mix is a blend of mulch, seed, and fertilizer, making it perfect for sunny or shady areas. Save big money on Scott's Easy Seed Patch and Repair Mix now at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 1041.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt. Sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 80. Tonight those showers and thunderstorms will continue, mainly before 3 a.m. Some of those storms could produce heavy rainfall. We'll see a low around 61. For your Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 73, and looking ahead to Wednesday, sunny skies with a high near 72.
Played some feel-good audio the last few minutes, and there was a story a couple of weeks ago about a veteran who was about to turn 104, huge Trump supporter, and I think he had done a video or something where he invited Trump to his birthday party, and I guess Trump did a video for him. Is that what this is?
Yeah, he was in the Middle East, so he wasn't able
to
make it, but he left him a really nice message. So this audio that you'll hear is just like a little clip of the World War II veteran, and then it'll jump over to Trump and his response to him. Maybe. If I can get my...
Yeah.
If I can get my microphone down there.
Get our high-tech system going.
Here we go.
President Trump, my name is Denver Moore, and I'm going to be 104 in May, and I'm inviting you to my birthday party.
Hi, Denver. I want to wish you a very happy 104th birthday from your all-time favorite president. That's me, Donald Trump. And I'm sorry we weren't able to get to your party. I would love to get to your party, but I'm working on Russia, Ukraine, China, and all sorts of other places. And I know you want us to do well. But I want to just thank you for your incredible service to our nation and for your support for making America great again. A very, very special man you are, and happy birthday.
Nazi.
Yep, clearly.
Clearly Nazi. You know who else wished people happy birthdays? Hitler. So there you go. Trump is Hitler. Speaking of, headline, organizers planning a nationwide protest for Trump's birthday. Well, of course. You people, get a life. Get a life. I mean, they've gotten to the point, they're not even protesting anything in particular. He's having a birthday? Well, we got to have a protest. Guys, you have fallen completely into loser category here. Total losers. People see you as losers. Protesting his birthday now? He should have never been born. We got to protest the fact that he was. Surprised, what, were they going to go to his mother's grave? Dig her up, drag her corpse through the streets? Agitators planning a not-too-surprising birthday gift for President Donald Trump on his 79th birthday at another anti-Trump demonstration. Organizers say they're hoping to upstage a military parade that the president has planned in Washington, D.C. Refuse Fascism. The group claiming to be behind the event has held rallies against the Trump administration in downtown Los Angeles and other cities. ABC affiliate Channel 7 reported on Sunday. Sarah Taylor, who is with the group, told the station Donald Trump is trashing the rule of law. He's disappearing immigrants. He's threatening to do the same without any due process for legal citizens. For all of these things that Donald Trump is threatening to do, it is amazing how lacking we are in any audio to play of him saying this stuff. He is threatening to deport legal citizens without any due process. Oh, okay. The group is calling June 14th No King's Day. Now, Newsweek, however, reported the protest is actually being organized by a group named No Kings, along with partners such as Black Voters Matter and the Declaration for American Democracy. They put a lot of real pretty words in there. The group is mobilizing volunteers to show up everywhere Trump isn't to say, "No thrones, no crowns, no kings," an article in the magazine stated. It remains to be seen how many supporters will respond to the call. So this apparently is going to be, what is it, June 14th? Is that the date that it said here? Yeah, June 14th. So we can expect to see these protests against Donald Trump. I mean, at some point, do you folks not exhaust yourselves out? Now, I understand putting a lot of time and effort into something if at the end of the day there are results, right? Like, well, we've got to continue to work hard. Well, sure, if you're doing something. What is it that you think you're doing? Well, people need to know. Oh, you think that people don't know that you hate Donald Trump? Do you think that there is some lack of awareness as to what Donald Trump is doing? Is that what you think? I mean, you people, find something else to do. And listen, I'm not saying this as any sort of reflection that it's harmful to Trump. I think at this point it's helpful. You know, normal people see a number of the positive things that are going on in the country and in the world. Doesn't mean that they don't have concerns, but they see. They see all of this investment, all of these jobs. They see that prices are actually going down, that things are getting better in terms of how average Americans are impacted by the economy. Then they see this astounding potential for peace in the Middle East. And then they look at you and you're just yelling at traffic about Trump being a fascist. Have you seen the videos where these are some of my favorites, and I wish this was done more. Somebody that's clearly conservative or libertarian, when they'll approach someone at one of these events that refers to Trump as a fascist and then ask them to explain what fascism is.
Oh, yes.
They never know. They never know. Never. I've never seen any of them able to explain what fascism is and how Donald Trump is a fascist. You'd think that they'd at least be prepared with something that's make it sound like they know what they're talking about. But generally, I love. Well, I'm not really an expert when it comes to that.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's
It's
like their
if you're
go-to.
going to call somebody a fascist, at least know what the definition of fascist is.
It is, and there's like 5 visual categories they fall into. I mean, they all kind of have a similar
And
look
I see
style
all
to
of them in my head right now.
Oh, yes. And most people who, if you've ever seen any of these protesters, you can see it, see how they look, how little they care about their appearance. Well, I'm not really an expert when it comes to these sorts of things. Oh, but we're supposed... So then why should we listen to you? Why should we listen to you? Okay. I'm going to take a break. Beto O'Rourke. Okay, I want to talk because Beto O'Rourke is making headlines again. This is one of those other instances in which Democrats found someone who has a track record of losing and then just amazingly tries to paint him as the great savior of the Democrat Party, only for that to crash and burn. He's making headlines. I'm telling you, I think he's going to throw his hat in the ring for the next presidential race. I believe it, and why not? I bet Stacey Abrams does the same. It is going to be a cast of losers on the Democrat side. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education. But that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you. I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hoped it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning on Springfield's Talk 1041.
Sarah Myers, everyone.
Thank you. Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air. There is nothing worse than coming home after a long day at work and you come home to warm, muggy, stale, hot air when it should be nice and cool. I don't like that. You don't like that. And Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air doesn't like it either. From a minor repair to a new unit, Foreman has the experience that you need to get that job done quickly and affordably. And not only do they offer residential services, but they also offer commercial services as well, because nobody wants to go to work with AC that's not working properly. In fact, you know what, Nick?
What?
Nobody should have to work in those conditions.
No one should have to
Nobody should. And you don't have to do that when you have Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air on your side. They also offer a 24/7 emergency line because emergencies don't just stay in that 8 to 5 range. So for all of your annual services, your AC tune-ups, and so much more, give Russell and his team a call today. And you can find all of that contact information for Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Former Rep. Beto O'Rourke, Democrat from Texas, who was going to be the great savior. He was going to oust Ted Cruz. Remember that? Oh, he's just going to, all the polls. Oh, Ted Cruz was in trouble. And he's going to run for president. He was going to be the next JFK Jr. This was the talk, and he was on magazine covers. And it's just a really interesting phenomenon, the way that Democrats decide their next up-and-comer. It's just sort of like famous for being famous. You know, that was a terminology that I believe first came about with Paris Hilton. And Paris Hilton became famous, and people started asking, like, well, what is she famous for? Oh, she's famous for being famous. And a lot of these Democrat politicians, they tend to... The Democrats get very excited about them when they've done nothing. Stacey Abrams, again, perfect example of it. Beto O'Rourke was one of these. It's like, why are you choosing this guy? He's not done anything. He's not particularly successful. Stacey Abrams, the same situation, but they act as if this is the great new savior. What was the attorney, Avenatti, or that guy? He would rail against Trump. He was Stormy Daniels' attorney for a while, I think. He ended up going to prison because he ripped a bunch of clients off. But for a while, they were talking about him running for president. And because it's just like it's the weirdest thing. It's so different than Republican behavior and how it is that Republicans decide whom it is that they think should get nominations, that they think should be potentially the future of the party. Beto O'Rourke was one of those. So Beto O'Rourke is out there talking again, and he said that former President Biden should not have run for re-election in 2024, and that Biden, in doing so, failed the country. Failed the country in doing so. This blaming of Biden, as Democrats have the big open conversation, should he or shouldn't he have? It is so telling how irrelevant the voter is to the Democrat Party. As if voters are irrelevant. What if he should he or shouldn't he have run? It doesn't mean people had to vote for him. It didn't mean that the party had to get behind him. He could have easily, the party could have easily gotten behind that Dean Phillips Democrat congressman who was running, or RFK Jr. Instead, what did they do? They wouldn't have debates. They altered the election calendar in order to help Joe Biden appear as if there were no serious challengers. They did everything they could to rig the system for him. But the Democrat voters now, arguably, again, they were told, and they're very obedient, and they do what they're told when it comes to supporting someone and being excited about someone. But it just kills me, this same party that protected Biden, that lied for Biden, then turns around and blames him for running in the first place, as if they were all out there saying he shouldn't run and he decided to do it anyhow and somehow threw a wrench into everything. That's not how that worked. The thing about it, though, that is still, it's just the real killer in it. This is all based around the knowledge and the now admission that Biden isn't capable of having cognitive thoughts on a level that are in line with somebody who should be president or run for president. Joe Biden is the last person who they should blame for making this decision given his cognitive state. This is like you have a member of the family that you all know shouldn't be driving, but no one tells him not to drive, and then he drives through the front of a restaurant, and then you're like, you should have known better. Why were you driving? Like, he doesn't know better. Hence the fact that he's senile. He's the one who doesn't know better. What were you out there driving for? You should know that you shouldn't. No, you're the ones who knew. In a weird way, this is their default of blaming the victim in terms of his, and I'm not absolving him, obviously, but given that the whole problem with Joe Biden is that he didn't have the mental capacity to make decisions, and everyone's blaming him for making the wrong decision about whether or not to run. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed.
Hi, I'm Bill Dunton with Abacus.
And I'm Abe.
At Abacus, we know your business is more than numbers. True financial clarity means looking beyond just taxes. Our tax professionals and strategic advisors bring real experience, thoughtful strategy, and a personal approach to every client.
We think beyond the box, asking the right questions, identifying overlooked opportunities, and helping you make smart decisions with better guidance for your business and future.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, a growing company, or just ready for a clearer picture of where you're headed, Abacus is here to help you understand the full picture of your finances.
Visit abacuspro.com or call 449-2727 to schedule a time to speak with an Abacus professional.
Abacus is your trusted partner in providing you better guidance so you can make smarter decisions.
You're listening to Nick Reed in the Morning
on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
Hunter Hardscapes and Outdoor, HunterHardscapes.com. Premier landscaping services through the area. Wide range of installation services from your own little oasis to massive projects. Maybe the company that you own, you need it for entertaining. Maybe you've got a venue that you are building up into an entertainment venue. Plan ahead, though. Of course, they are out a ways when it comes to work. So if you're thinking, fall, we're going to need this done around fall or end of summer. So don't wait until then because they are quite busy with the level of service that they provide. So I recommend that you visit the site now. And one of the things I do like about the site is it gives you a ballpark idea of what it is you're looking at and cost, so you have an idea of what it is that you're looking at in terms of investing in improving the quality and value of your home or business. HunterHardscapes.com. Also, Nick's endorsements, KSGF.com.
Hi, this is Jordan with MTS Express. We are